that. So my trajectory, my coming of age completely coincides with the sexual revolution when things really changed. And I like to say, and I have said to my students, probably at my own risk, that TV in the 60s was very family oriented, very much about being a good civic citizen. The morals were all, I would say, fairly universal: how to be a good person, how to handle the town bully, Mayberry RFD, family. And then we start getting into the relaxing the codes, and now there's murder and single police women, Charlie's Angels, which was a huge influence on me, and it just completely changed. And by the time I reach my adolescence, now there is abortion. And I even remember I was sitting on the toilet when I heard on a talk show in the next room that my mother was listening to that now, Roe v. Wade has been passed. And I remember thinking, oh, good, I can do whatever I want. Oh, good, I can do whatever I want.
Wow.
And we also had the pill. And so, it's brand new. And when something is brand new, people tend to react to it, overreact to it. It really completely liberated me and my friends as teenagers into basically having a lot of casual sex.
Mm-hmm.
And it even seemed that you were supposed to, like the arbiters of correct opinions were imposing this on us, because I remember asking myself, and I know other women have said the same thing, why am I doing this? I don't really like it. It makes me feel bad. I'm also, regardless, sort of garnering a kind of a dubious reputation. But then I'm wired like that, and I can't seem to extricate myself from this habit. And, all of the advertising, much of what I was reading in teen magazines was sort of promoting this, you don't have to live like your mother, and you can live like a man. I had 5 friends that I hung out with in high school, and we called ourselves the Coyotes. And our motto was, we can do what men do, and we can do it even better.
Mm.
And we would drive down the main street hooting and whistling at guys, and, drinking a lot, and getting ourselves in all kinds of sexual trouble. And recently, we, a few of us got together and we were reflecting on that, and we realized that this was a very short window of time, because AIDS comes along in 1983 and changes everything. So I would say that people born between, say, 1958 and 1965 are the people whose life story sort of goes alongside this change. And in the essay, A Requiem for the Patriarchy, that I sent to, in the 60s, it really was like there was a dad in every house. There was only one household where there was no father. That mother was divorced and had a daughter named Tammy, and they lived with her grandparents. I am not going to say that those marriages were all happy marriages. I mean, even in my own household, it wasn't a love match by any stretch of the imagination, but absolutely it was a home. Absolutely it was a home. And I was a very observant kid, spent a lot of time alone watching everybody. And I would say that in most cases, that was the sense that every one of those houses was a home. Every one of those houses was a home. And for the most part, the mothers were all in those homes.
I was brought up on the books of The Wizard of Oz, and my mother told me that these were great philosophies. It was a very simple philosophy that everybody had a heart, that everybody had a brain, that everybody had courage. These were the gifts that given you come on this earth. And if you use them properly, you'll reach the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And that pot of gold was a home. And home isn't just a house or an abode. It's people who love you and that you love. That's a home.
And then the no-fault divorce thing comes along, and it's like everybody sort of jumps on that bandwagon. And by the time I get into high school, there were the kids whose parents were divorced, and those were the cool kids who could do whatever they wanted because nobody was around to watch them. We were going into those houses and smoking pot and drinking drinking their mother's alcohol. And, I would say that those are the kids, when I look back, who didn't really fare off very well. So, I'm grossly generalizing, but, on the other hand, I think I'm observing a trend, the breakdown of the family, the sort of permitting, getting out of commitments and not seeing things through. And I think where we are today is in a habit of not trusting that you can get through a bad period with a spouse or a partner, and see it through to the end. We are now wired to get out. We are now wired to get out. We are now wired to get out. Mm-hmm. And I've done that myself many times. And when I look back, I say, the one marriage that I got out of, I really think I shouldn't have done that. I never really did any better. Mm-hmm. And, and I made these choices by rote because I was listening to this other, these sort of voices up there who are telling you what you're supposed to feel, what you're supposed to want. And now we have social media doing that. Mm-hmm. And, some of the things I did were really incredibly callous and very much anti-family formation, anti-life. And, that was the theme of the essay. It just seems that we are being guided in that direction to move away from all of the kind of social mores that encouraged us and facilitated family formations and producing life.